Next on BYUSN, what in the world does BYU football have to do against Wyoming on Saturday night to help you move on from the debacle at Autzen Stadium in Oregon?
BYU seems agitated. Are the Cougars about to go nuclear on the Cowboys? Good news. No reactor on campus that we know of.
That is fantastic news. Welcome to BYU Sports Nation, everyone. It is Thursday, September 22nd. As always, we're presented by the BYU Store, official outfitter of BYU fans everywhere. My name is Spencer Linton, alongside nuclear physicist in training, Jarom Jordan.
Yeah, didn't take a science class at BYU, so I've got some work to do. On today's show, former Cougar radio sideline reporter and receiver, the doctor, Nate Mickel, joins us from Lawrence, Kansas. He works at Kansas. We'll talk to him about BYU to the Big 12, playing Wyoming, and much more. The freshest Deep Blue is out, featuring Isaac Rex and his recovery from a brutal ankle injury against USC last year. And we share our game notes for BYU and Wyoming. But first, let's serve up some headlines.
Starting with 19th-ranked BYU football, who renews the old Mountain West Conference rivalry. Yeah! With the Wyoming Cowboys this Saturday night, 10:15 p.m. Eastern at LaVell Edwards Stadium. Here's BYU offensive coordinator Aaron Roderick on BYU establishing the critical run game against Wyoming.
They're really good run defense. There's always one more person in the box than you can block. They're very good at what they do. It'll be a challenge, but it's the same offensive line and basically same team that ran the heck out of the ball last year. Yep. Not concerned about it. We'll fix it.
If BYU's offense is as good as A-Rod's mustache, the Cougars are going to be just fine. Tonight, number 16 women's volleyball begins West Coast Conference play against LMU, 9 Eastern on BYU TV and the app. The Cougars have won 6 of the last 7 WCC championships.
BYU women's soccer alumna Ashley Hatch back to her old tactics, scoring goals. She scored a PK for the Washington Spirit in the 88th minute last night. 2-1 loss to Angel City FC, but again, who cares as long as BYU players are doing well.
That's right.
Hatch played 90 minutes, had 2 shots, took 2 shots on goal along with that PK.
Washington Spirit getting it done. BYU freshman volleyball player Trent Moser has made the USA U21 training team ahead of the U21 Pan American Cup in Cuba October 3rd through the 8th. Moser's an incoming freshman from Arizona who will compete for an outside hitter spot this season beginning in January.
All rise and shout. It's time for What's Trending, presented by Tim Daly Ford, part of the Tim Daly Auto Group, serving Utah since 1968. Wyoming to the rescue, Jarom. Or a game against Wyoming for BYU football. BYU football fans are hoping that a game against Wyoming will help solve some of the woes that were presented against Oregon at Autzen Stadium. So, Jarom, as we look deeper into this, what does BYU football have to do against the Cowboys to help you and the rest of the fan base maybe move on from the loss against Oregon?
Certainly a big win would help. The line is, 22.5 as of Monday. Haven't looked it up since. Maybe it's slid a little bit. But a big win would be nice. Even bigger than that would be nice. Wyoming is a good team. Will they challenge BYU at home? In certain areas, I think so. But I think Wyoming's running into a buzzsaw here. This is an agitated BYU football team. Yep. As evidenced by some of the comments this week. They want to move on from this game. They want to perform better. They know they're better. Let's listen to a couple of sound bites to illustrate this, starting with Kalani Sitake.
Whenever you're kind of being questioned a little bit as a team, as a program, you have one choice. So I've asked these guys to be humble and be hungry. Now you got no choice but to be humble and to learn. And now you got no choice but to get hungry and get after this next game. I wish the game was tomorrow.
That was Monday. Okay. That was Monday. A little bit of agitation. Hey, let's go. Aaron Roderick, you just heard him. Let's play a more extended soundbite on the importance of establishing the run game, because obviously BYU has not performed well in the last 2 games on the ground. Here's A-Rod.
They're really good run defense. There's always one more person in the box than you can block. They're very good at what they do. It'll be a challenge, but it's the same offensive line and basically same team that ran the heck out of the ball last year. Yep. Not concerned about it. We'll fix it.
Looking back at the Oregon film, was there something particular they did?
No, we got down by 3 scores, so we didn't even really try to run.
You were trying to throw the ball.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't even try to run. We were too far down. You had to throw to catch up. Mm-hmm. So running the ball, we could have spent the whole day trying to figure out how to run the ball if you don't care about winning.
BYU certainly cares about winning, and that's why the Cougars had to pass a lot. passing a lot is sometimes a sign that you were behind. Sometimes it's a sign that that secondary stinks and you're throwing the ball down the field. But yes, a big win where BYU establishes the run, and hopefully it's pretty clean everywhere else. Would love to see some Jake Oldroyd field goals go through.
Please.
Assuming he's the kicker.
Better special teams overall.
Ryan Rico has got to play better. Right now he's not the best player on the team like he was the previous 2 years, as I've talked about. Zach Wilson was 2 years ago, no doubt. But, yeah, I expect, and I think you do too, for BYU to respond really well to a terrible performance last week. I think they're going to come out and just blow Wyoming out.
Yes, let's qualify what that dominant, big blowout victory would look like.
At least a cover.
Okay?
At least.
BYU is a 21 or 22-point favorite, depending on which line you're looking at. Okay, three-plus touchdowns.
Scores. Yes. That's why I say 17, by the way, because 17 is 3 scores.
Wyoming averages about 24 points a game. So
that's not a ton.
If BYU's defense does give up 24 and they cover, we're looking at mid-40s. And to me, that's kind of where I have pinpointed what BYU's offense needs to do.
I love it.
Give me 40-plus, probably 45 to 48 points against Wyoming.
That's a very specific range.
The Cougars have done this a lot against Wyoming, for what it's worth. Granted, it's been a while. Often they've gone 50-plus in the last 20 years. Just get to 45 at least if you're BYU. So that's a qualify. And how you do it, the run game for BYU needs to be established. Granted, Wyoming's rush defense through 4 games has been pretty good. Yeah. Only 126 yards on the ground given up per team.
Including Air Force, who was depleted,
yes.
But still, that's what Air Force does, right?
Yeah, Air Force was missing 6 starters, had 37 different players sick and missing practice at some point during the week leading up to the Wyoming game. But still, you got to show up against a very, very disciplined option offense in Air Force, and you got to go to work. So only 126 a game is interesting. How does BYU's rushing attack, as we just heard Aaron Roderick said, look, their rush defense is good. We got to figure this thing out. So maybe this is a little bit more of a challenge.
Maybe BYU has to throw it.
Maybe this is,
to open up the, who knows?
Maybe this is a little bit more of a challenge for BYU on a run. And I kind of like that. I don't want it to just be you walk over them going from Baylor and Oregon to Wyoming. I kind of like that this is weird. It could be a little bit challenging for BYU. So if BYU can rush for 150-plus, that's something that I would like to see. That will help me feel better.
Yes, and 150 is not a huge number. To most teams, 200's the number you're going for rushing.
But
at BYU,
yeah,
it's not about Wyoming. At BYU, UID, it's 100 minimum. You got to get to 150 because you're hoping to throw for 250.
Yeah,
plus.
So 400-plus total yards, right?
Yes,
throw
always.
for 250,
always.
Rush for 150. Pretty good balance at BYU.
Yes.
I would like to see the Cougars go 150-plus against a defense that only gives up 126. And a quick start. None of this weird, it's a night
First
game.
quarter.
BYU's been so dominant at night, as we've pointed out. I mean, crazy. So 21-1 over the last 4 years?
That's unbelievable.
When the game is after 6 p.m.?
What?
It's stupid.
What?
Right? So they've been so good. Why not a quick start against Wyoming? That would help me feel a little bit better. And then Wyoming's offense is only putting up just over 300 yards a game. I think 311 to be exact. So they do not.
Oh, amber is the color of their energy, Spence.
Yes. Yeah. They do not have a dynamic offense. BYU's defense really has no excuses. Wyoming doesn't score a ton of points. Nope. They don't have a dynamic offense.
Nope.
Golden opportunity for BYU's defense to really shut things down and send a message to Wyoming. So that's how I would qualify a dominant, blowout, satisfying victory for BYU is give me 45 points, give me a way better run game, a quick start, and some stingy defense.
Yes, there can be mistakes. Just overcome them with more great plays or creating mistakes from Wyoming's side. Andrew Peasley's a guy that we saw at Utah State. He transferred to Wyoming. He's the starter. He's got a good enough arm down the field. He is a guy that on 3rd and 6 is going to run for a first. He's going to look to go downfield. And by the way, Wyoming, I haven't really seen this. They have an interesting thing where typically the helmet is going to have the gear goes all the way around the top. It's only the bottom. It's going to look weird when you see them walk out with those helmets. I watched almost 2 games, Air Force and Tulsa, and I'm like, what's up with that helmet?
It's a Wild West.
It's a different design, but Wyoming certainly presents a few challenges. They're not the challenge, of course, that Oregon and Baylor are. They are better than South Florida. So South Florida, remember, BYU runs for over 300 yards in this game, highlighted by the first play from scrimmage.
Dang it, why couldn't South Florida beat Florida in the swamp last week?
Moral victory would have been. The 75-yard run sets the tone. Chris Brooks has 2 runs of 40-plus in that game. This is an important game for Chris Brooks, and I think that he will come out and be similar to what he was against South Florida. I would love to see a 100-yard game from Chris Brooks. Now, if Wyoming decides we're going to make BYU throw the ball, then you throw the ball and you win that way. You don't have to establish the run game. It'd just be nice, given how bad it's been the last 2 games, where Jaron Hall had to against Baylor, Jaron Hall had to win this game, and Chase Roberts showed up in a massive way. Will we see a Puka Nacua in this game?
Please,
Will
yes.
we see Gunnar Romney?
At least a series or 2, please.
Because the goal for those 2 is to get back to beat Notre Dame. The only way that BYU gets the real bad taste out of their mouth from Oregon is to beat Notre Dame to me. I think even if BYU dominates the next 2 weeks, we're still going to go, well, that Oregon game was still, but we're still going to, that's going to linger. But if you win the next 2, which BYU is going to, and then you beat Notre Dame in Vegas, we will forget about the Oregon game because guess what? BYU's right outside the top 10, if not right back in it, with only 1 loss at Oregon, who, hey, go Ducks. Hopefully they have a great season, and that loss looks like, well, it's hard to win.
I was just going to ask you that. What's your status on Oregon? Like, do you want Oregon now to win the Pac-12?
100%. Yes, beat Utah. Absolutely. Like BYU's opponents, I am cool with all of them winning outside of the BYU game. Utah, though,
a little bit different. And
fewer,
therein lies the special factor of the rivalry.
Yes, that's the rivalry. That's what they don't want BYU to win the rest of the year. Come on, man. Although last year was a respectable loss for Utah to lose to BYU.
10-3
it
BYU.
wasn't as respectable to lose to San Diego State and Oregon State, I think, last year.
Now, I'm glad that you bring up like the Oregon Ducks specifically because, yeah, as bad as that was in Eugene, like just maybe Oregon rebounds and is a special team. And we look and say, okay, Georgia, they're truly in another stratosphere.
Yes.
Oregon's a legit top 10 team. If it turns out the BYU loses on the road after all is said and done to like a top 10 Oregon team, is anybody going to be like, oh, man, that was terrible loss?
Well, and it was early in the season. Last week I said, Spence, if BYU has to lose a game, that's the game to lose. Obviously, we don't like being down 31.
No, down 38-7. The way you lose a game still stings. But if Oregon is great and they win the Pac-12 and they're a top 10 team or even a top 15 team, nobody is going to say that was a bad loss by BYU. No,
and that's
an understandable loss because Oregon doesn't lose at home, apparently.
Yes, they haven't in a long time, right? And that's the hope. But the controllable is, can BYU learn from that situation? Pound Wyoming and Utah State. Thursday night game next week, by the way. Short week. Let's go. A week from now, we're talking about Utah State in town. And then it's Friday off, General Conference weekend. And then you're on to Notre Dame. And it's men's basketball media days in Vegas. It's a huge week, right, for a lot of programs. This is a lead up. The team has to focus, obviously, on Wyoming and Utah State. We do not. We can think about Notre Dame and Arkansas sitting there 3rd game away and 4th game away.
Get right for those teams.
Yes, establish the run game, get that confidence back. Beat up on some G5s. And then you've got the real challenge of Notre Dame and Arkansas, where if BYU can split, you're in business. You got the 2-2 versus the Big Four like we talked about. Now you got to take care of business at home against some teams. You got to go win at Boise State. You got to beat Stanford on the road. 10-2 would still be in the works. You can lose big and get embarrassed to Oregon and still rebound and have an incredible situation here. Just what we hope is that Oregon didn't show us that BYU is inept in these places that will bite BYU later. Hopefully the Cougars rebound in a way that shows us, no, they're super legit. And like last year, with 2 losses, BYU creeped up all the way to 14 near the end of the year. And had they taken care of business in the bowl game, would have finished top 12.
Now, you bring up Puka Nacua and Gunnar Romney. I'm hopeful that they play at least a few series. Specifically Gunnar. Just get him on the field. Let him get,
at least dressed and warmed up.
For sure.
If not in the game.
Same with Puka. And then on the defensive side, Tyler Batty and Earl Tuioti Mariner have practiced this week. That's good news. The BYU rush defense gets a shot in the arm with the reemergence of those 2 guys back on the defensive line after they sat out against Oregon. I don't know how much of a difference that made against Oregon. It made somewhat of a difference. To not have 2 experienced defensive linemen.
When you're down 31, I'm not sure there's much.
Yeah, I don't know. But getting all of those guys back, that should help. Now, our question of the day, what does BYU have to do against Wyoming to help you move on from the loss against Oregon? Let's go to Voice of the Nation, hashtag BYUSN, at B4 The Dark Knight Answers on Instagram.
So Batman Begins?
apparently, be able to run the ball and be able to stop the run and maybe win by 30.
I think BYU fans are expecting a blowout, which we've been calling for. Also, last week I said BYU by double figures. That didn't happen either. But if BYU doesn't win big in this game, I got real concerns. I respect Wyoming, and it's 3-1. It's wins versus Air Force and Tulsa. Those are nice wins. But if they come in and compete with BYU at home, where the Cougars have been all but beatable after 6 p.m., as we've talked about.
Oh, no, they've been serious. They've been
21-1
at
since 2019. The one loss is Utah in 2019, who got to as high as 5 that season before blowing it in the Pac-12 title game and against Texas in the Alamo Bowl. Let's go. Let's go. Take care of business and beat up on Wyoming in perhaps the last game with the Cowboys in a long time or ever.
Run the ball, 150 plus. Stop the run. I mean, what is stopping the run, though? Let's qualify that really
Sub
quickly.
150.
Okay, sub 150?
Yards per carry, it's sub 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, hashtag BYUSN to join that conversation on all of the social media platforms.
Hey, and Saturday night, 8 Eastern time, BYU Sports Nation Game Day gets you ready for 19th ranked BYU against Wyoming, as we've talked about. 2 hours and 15 minutes of wholesome, family-friendly, amazing content. Which, speaking of, I posted a picture of the game day image. You're sitting down with that Cougar. Hercules BYU says, "How blessed the day when the lynx and the lion shall lie down together without any iron."
What great
Well
piece.
done.
What great piece.
Hey, Brian Logan in the mix as well. Very nice.
Up next, former BYU receiver and radio sideline reporter Nate Mickel.
Hey.
Podcasting Mickles and Dimes. He joins us from Kansas, from Big 12 country. This is BYU Sports Nation.
This portion of BYU Sports Nation is presented by the Tim Daly Auto Group, serving Utah since 1968.
This is where we dominate. Our playground, place of business. This is our promised land, where we seek to find ourselves. And we're here to make sure the spaces our best prove themselves on appear how they should. Intermountain Healthcare, official medical provider for BYU Athletics.
Trio Orem Senior Living believes in empowering seniors to live life to the fullest. We help eliminate stress out of daily life when you live at Trio. Less time focusing on housework means you can socialize at one of our many events, with safety in mind, of course. And did we mention our spacious apartments with modern amenities? Learn more about setting up a private tour at trioorem.com.
I was 4 years old when I left Zambia. My dad was born in Sheila, in the south of Italy.
My mom is from Slovakia. We haven't really talked about it, never, not once.
My dad doesn't really talk about his life in Serbia. I just really want to know who he is. And then discover who am I.
We are live in Studio B for more BYU Sports Nation, your day-to-day BYU Sports play-by-play. I'm Spencer Linton alongside Jarom Jordan. Joining us now, the man you just saw, for those watching on TV, put together, hey, an exciting
Has there been a Nate Mickel music video before? That was awesome.
Reel of punt returns. Yeah, believe it or not, once upon a time, BYU had some exciting punt returns. It's been a while.
I remember when college football had punt returns. It's been a sec.
Joining us now from Big 12 country in the heart of Lawrence, Kansas, is Professor Nate Mickel. Dr. Nate Mickel. I apologize. Nate,
What's up, Nate?
Welcome to BYU Sports Nation.
Guys, I I think this is my first appearance, and I just couldn't be happier. Love to connect with you guys again. It's been so long. You know, we used to hang out together so much. Used to go to all these games together and see each other all the time, and it's been a little while, so it's so great to be back with you guys.
How dare you want to progress in life and get that doctorate and make money?
Let's walk through what you've done since you thought that life had more than sideline reporting on the radio. Let's see, you went to Stanford and went to law school, and you got a degree there, law degree, right?
Yeah, I got a JD at Stanford, yeah.
Okay.
You know, basically, I don't like to work. I mean, that's what it comes down to. So I go to school, I go to Stanford. I realize I just want to stay in school forever. So then I did the PhD at a school
That's
for a
school
few
up north. Yep.
And then
Hey, Lavelle got a
I went
doctorate
to-
in Utah as well, Nate. It's okay. It's okay.
So yeah, I got that there. And then I really, you know, I'm loving school some more. So I decided to go to Notre Dame for 3 years, did a postdoc there, and I got this tenure track job at Kansas when I was like 40. So basically, I postponed entering the workforce until 40. So, you know, if nothing else happens in my life, I feel like I kind of won in terms of avoiding work.
Hey, you're getting your student loans paid off, right? Conversation for another day.
And now you work in Kansas, right? What are you doing in Kansas?
Yeah, so at Kansas, I teach leadership and ethics. I spend a lot of my time doing research on social psychology as it relates to organizations. But yeah, teaching leadership and ethics in the business school, business ethics, as they say on was it Billy Madison?
Yeah. Well played. You got a great podcast going as well.
That's why I got the mic. He's legit.
Yeah, you're all set up. But we brought you on for a very specific reason, Nate, because of your successes with BYU football against Wyoming specifically. And a punt return, I still think was a touchdown, Nate.
Touchdown.
I think it was a touchdown. And it's feel like BYU's had this hex. They can't have a punt return for a touchdown. And feels like forever. Was it a touchdown? Walk us through that play in 2006. Did you get into the end zone?
Yeah, so you know, it's so funny because I actually talked to the ref a few years later about that play. And like any good ref, he dug in his heels and told me why I was wrong. But anyway, so what happened is, and I don't know, you know, you said punt return, and I was the punt returner, but I did return like 3 kicks, and so this actually was a kick return.
Oh, sorry, yeah, kick return. Okay.
For people who, you know, really want to get into details. But what was interesting about this play is we had scouted Wyoming, and we knew they were going to do this little, or they like to do this little short kick to the right. Most people kick deep to the left, right? But we knew they like to do this little short kick to the right. And it's the opening kickoff. If we win this game, we're going to be conference champs, at least have a share. So it's a big game, and Wyoming has the top defense in the conference. So right before they're about to kick, I move up to that spot where I know they're going to kick it, or where we'd scouted that they were going to kick it, to tell them, like, hey, guys, I know what you're doing. And then I'm like, you idiot. If I do that, maybe they'll kick it to the left, and I want the ball. So because frequently, like, Curtis would be the return guy on the right. So I was like, I'm going to back up and pretend like I don't know what they're doing. Yeah, I don't know if it would have made a difference. But anyway, I back up. As soon as they kick, I run up. And sure enough, they kick it there. I run down the left sideline. And, you know, I know my strengths, and I was always quick. Top end speed was not a strength. So I'm going down the sideline. I see the end zone. I think I'm going to get there. I switch the ball to my right hand. I dive. I hit the pylon with the ball. My left hand's extended to the left. I hit my head, and my legs come over my back, and like I really tweak my back, and I think I give myself a little bit of a minor concussion. But I'd scored. I knew I'd hit the pylon, and so I go over to the sideline. You know, we scored on the opening kick. Great start to the game, and I'm a little bit woozy. And when I come kind of get my senses and look out there, we got the ball on the 1 yard line. I start asking around, like, what's going on? How'd we get the ball back? And they're like, oh, they blew you out of bounds. It's like, what? My one, you know, my shining moment where I thought I scored. So anyway, I saw the ref a few years later when I was doing broadcasting, and I was like, yeah, you know, we were playing in Wyoming, and he's like, oh, I worked that game. And I was like, oh, I got a beef with one of the refs there. He's like, that was me. You touched your hand out when you dove. And I said, no, I didn't. I got that feeling. He's like, no, you did.
And thanks to the mountain cameras, or maybe it was Versus, we had some real high quality SD 480p footage so that we could clearly see whether you were in or not. No, but that game, BYU wins 55-7. You guys win the Mountain West. And, hey, Utah was
against the top defense in the conference. I had forgotten that
That's
fact.
pretty good. Okay, so now BYU renews the rivalry with Wyoming. And, Nate, this might be the last game BYU plays with Wyoming ever, or in a long time, because I don't think BYU is going to return the game in 2024. They already have Nevada at home. So BYU and Wyoming coming up Saturday. What do you think of what you've seen from BYU so far this year? And what's it like to play against Wyoming?
Yeah, well, let me go to that first. Let me go to your second question first. And thankfully, this game is in Provo because, man, going to Wyoming, it's so hard to play there. It's hard to get there. When we flew in, we got hit by lightning. We asked it was the scariest moment I've ever had on a plane. And we asked the stewardess after, did we get hit by lightning? She's like, no, you didn't. But yeah, you did. And, it's like 70.
Whoa.
Sorry, what?
Was that 05?
05, yeah. I mean, it was touch and go. We were scared. And, 75-mile-per-hour winds, 7,000 feet elevation. Like, you're getting close to that, like, altitude sickness level. We beat them, of course, while we were there. So, yeah, at least this one's in Provo. When we played them, they were just gritty and tough. And they had one of the best wide receivers, Javon Bonite. Finished like top 20 all time in the NCAA for receptions and yards. And I think he coached at Utah State. He's still a coach right now. I think BYU is ready to win this game. It's easy, you watch that Oregon game and it's easy, it's easy, or maybe we're prone to give into the temptation of like, oh, the sky is falling. We lost big to Oregon. But look, BYU's offense, if you would have before the game said, here's Jaron Hall's stat line, and, how do you feel about the game? You'd say, yeah, good. So, look, Oregon had a great offensive game plan. We struggled to stop them. But I'm really looking forward to the game this week, and I think BYU establishes the run, and they have a good game and get the win.
Nate, you have moved further east on the plains of the Midwest to now Lawrence, Kansas. You are in the heart of Big 12 country. BYU is headed there next year as an official member of the Big 12. What do the Cougars have to look forward to in Lawrence, Kansas, competing in football and basketball and the other sports?
Yeah, so I went to a football game last year at KU, and they played Texas Tech, and just got destroyed, 60-10 or whatever, and nobody's in the stands. And I'm like, oh, these poor KU fans, they don't know what it's like to have a good football program. Of course, I've been at BYU where we got awesome fans. I spent 3 years at Notre Dame. And then I go to a KU basketball game at Allen Fieldhouse a few months later, and it's like, oh, man, these fans, they really know what it's like to have a great team. So now this year they got the new coach, Leopold, who's doing a good job. He's 3-0. They're favored for the first time in 10, 15 years against P5 teams. So
wild.
BYU, if KU football keep this up, then BYU is going to have a tough game that they should still win next year. Allen Fieldhouse, though, let me tell you guys, I just can't wait for the BYU basketball team to be playing in Allen Fieldhouse. Yeah. You look at the rafters and you see the players, and this is, I'm sad or embarrassed to admit this, and maybe I can blame it on KU marketing for not making me know this, but basketball was essentially invented. Well, there may be debates about where it's invented, but guess who KU basketball's first head coach was?
Was it James Naismith?
Dr. James
It
Naismith.
was James Naismith, yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
And I did not know that. And I'm a basketball fan. Now, maybe the true basketball fans are saying, you're an idiot, Nate, of course. But look, I didn't know that. He was their first coach. And the next coach, Fog Allen, that's who they named the arena after. Yeah. So, if it were me, I would probably call it Naismith Arena. Regardless, Fog was an awesome coach. But anyway, you look up to the rafters and you see the players that have their jerseys retired. And then you have somebody they have a number one draft choice, guy named Andrew Wiggins. And I don't think his jersey's not even in the rafters because he didn't hit the bar necessary for that. All that said, BYU is going to compete. They're going to, BYU is going to win some games here, is my expectation, the way they win at Gonzaga and beat Gonzaga. So I just can't wait for the BYU teams and the fans and the media members to come out to our new home here in Lawrence, Kansas.
It's going to be awesome, man. And in football, it's going to be fun because BYU finally has that P5 schedule that they've been trying to schedule in Independence, and this year's certainly challenging, but it's different when it's 9 P5s in 10 weeks, right? plus 1 in non-conference. So how do you think BYU is going to compete in the Big 12 in the next 5-10 years?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're going to be in the top half, and I think they'll have a chance to compete for conference championships in all the sports. You look what they did last year in the Pac-5. 5-0 in Pac-5. may as well be.
It might be that.
No, we should call it that.
Exactly.
We should call it that.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be, if it isn't already. So yeah, they go 5-0 in the Pac, whatever it is, last year. And I think the Midwest is a great fit for BYU. I'm excited for a number of reasons too, because geographically it's a great fit, culturally it's a great fit. It's easy to get to. Well, I say it's easy to get to Lawrence. It's a 2-hour flight to KC. Getting into some of these other schools in wintertime, for Greg Wrubell, is going to be a little bit tougher than, of course, going to the WCC. But look, BYU is a premier sports program in the country, and they're going to compete and do well. And I think they're going to really thrive. And it's only going to help recruiting being in the Big 12. So, yeah, I couldn't be more excited for the team and for Kalani and for Tom and admin and what they've been able to accomplish by getting into the Big 12.
Nate, I have a favor to ask. On your upcoming podcast, Mickles and Dimes, I need you to talk about the mentality of what it takes to be a great kick returner and punt returner. Because I feel like it's a lost art in college football and even through all ranks of football. It just when you have a great returner, it is such a weapon. So you did some great things. Perhaps you can talk about that. I'm requesting that is discussed at some point on Mickles and Dimes.
Well, I will say that I interviewed Ted Robinson, the Emmy Award-winning broadcaster who does the Olympics and NBA and NFL and Major League Baseball. And he said, he has this mantra of fearless, not reckless. And I was like, wow. That's one thing that every good punt return / kick returner needs. You got to be fearless. You can't be reckless. But I could go into some more detail. I like it. I'm always looking for new topics, and I do some interviews and monologues. So that I can work that into a monologue for sure. I love to. That's something I want to pass on to my kids. What does it take to thrive under pressure, especially as a punt returner?
Where can people find the podcast and listen to some great content? In fact, I really enjoyed your conversation with Kellen Moore, the offensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys.
Brother Moore, yes, Brother Moore, the OC for the Cowboys. So it's called Mickles and Dimes. Credit to Ben Criddle, who called me that, 15 years ago, and I like it. So the idea is just, quick 5-10 minute, simple life lessons that I've learned, typically research-backed, that I want my kids to know. And then lately I've started just interviewing people who I think are interesting and have something cool to say that I also want my kids to learn. So, yeah, if you Google Mickles and Dimes, I've got a website that'll be live here in like a month. It's not live yet. It'll natemickel.com or mickelsandimes.com. But yeah, Google it. You'll find it on Apple, on Spotify, on Stitcher, Google Podcasts, whatever podcast player you like.
Nate, great to talk with you. I'm sorry it took us this long to do it. I'm assuming we'll do it again very soon.
So I have a request because I went to Notre Dame and I had season tickets at Notre Dame. I know a fair amount about Notre Dame football, and I'm really excited to watch BYU beat Notre Dame on October 8th. I will be there at the stadium, but before I go to the game, I'd love to chat with you guys about that game and give you the scouting report.
Yes, please.
For this Notre Dame football game.
Our producer, Ben Bagley, is writing it down right now.
He's scrambling to find a pen right now.
Call Nate during Notre Dame week. Oh, great stuff. Nate, thanks for hanging out with us. We'll talk to you again during Notre Dame week.
Awesome. Can't wait. We'll make it a regular thing for us, guys. Appreciate it.
All right. Nate Mickel with us on BYU Sports Nation, former BYU football player, sideline reporter.
Shout out to Idaho Falls.
A brilliant, legitimately, if you couldn't figure it out by, his history, one of the most brilliant, smartest people that I've ever come across.
Extremely academic, obviously.
Unbelievably
BYU,
intelligent.
Utah, Notre Dame, Kansas. Stanford. He got a law degree, and then he got a PhD as well. What?
He wanted to stay out of the workforce, in his words, until he was 40.
We both have bachelors, and we're like, that's enough.
But we got our PhD in experience on TV.
In Cougar stats. BYU Radio's Cougar pregame live has you covered Saturday night, 8 Eastern time, as Greg Wrubell, Jason Shepard, Riley Nelson, Mitchell Juergens get you ready for number 19 BYU and Wyoming on Saturday night on BYU Radio.
Plus, up next, is BYU football still on the same college football tier as both Baylor and Oregon? Who said that? Stay with us on BYU Sports Nation.
BYU Sports Nation is presented by The BYU Store, official outfitter of BYU fans everywhere.
Football in Utah is all about the rivalries.
Red. Blue. Quarterback. Wide out. Rewards. Wait, what? My style. Checking rewards. My style. Right.
For Mountain America's My Style Checking, it's all about the benefits.
Loan discounts.
But it's hard to pick a favorite.
No. Mobile phone protection. Telehealth. You're going to need that when we're done. I heard that. Let's go.
Get the account rivaled by no one. My Style Checking from Mountain America.
When my grandfather started this company in 1947, he couldn't have envisioned what we would ultimately become. We realized that our value to our customers is that we will be there day after day, year after year, doing whatever we need to find solutions to the challenges that they face. We are committed to be honestly better in all that we do, in every opportunity that we have to serve our customers.
Introducing the Truck for Adventure. The all-new 2022 Nissan Frontier doesn't compromise on power or comfort. This midsize truck was redesigned to incorporate the latest technology and designs for safety, comfort, and convenience. Plus, with up to 6,700 pounds of towing capacity and best-in-class horsepower, it's rugged enough for adventure and still safe enough to transport all your favorite people. Where's your new Frontier? You'll find it at Tim Daly Nissan Southtown and South Jordan.
Life is full of competition. It helps measure progress, pushes us to improve, and whoops, it can be a whole lot of fun. BYU TV has its own kind of competition shows where sportsmanship rules, teamwork wins, and good character triumphs.
I wasn't just going to leave you there.
Whether it's about families competing or life lessons being taught, you'll want your family to see it together. Download the free BYU TV app today.
This is BYU Sports Nation. Make sure you follow us to get the latest and greatest on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok.
He is Jarom Jordan. I am Spencer Linton. Let's whip it. The Cougar Whip Around presented by Maersk, your e-commerce logistics shipping partner.
All right, Spence, in R.J. Young's latest Fox College football tiers, he has BYU dropping to a Tier 4 team on the same level as Oregon and Baylor.
Interesting. Fair? Oh, he does have Oregon to the left of BYU, which to me says that Oregon is a little bit better than BYU. And then Baylor to the right because BYU beat Baylor. Utah is also to the right, and Texas. So I believe that R.J. Young is going from left to right. So as long as Oregon, which they have earned, is in front of BYU and BYU is in front of Baylor, that makes sense. And in your case, Jarom, as long as BYU is in front of Utah, that also resonates with you. I mean, yeah, I thought about this after I saw something. Whoa, man, Oregon just took it to BYU. If they played that game, neutral field, not at Autzen, like again, let's say Oregon and BYU rematch in a bowl game, I think it'd be pretty competitive. Like, Autzen's a special place.
We'd hope so.
I underrated how special that place is.
If they play it in Provo, I'm not sure I'm like, yeah, BYU absolutely wins.
No, but totally different game, right?
Sure. And if it kicks off after 6, then yeah.
Watch out. Watch out. Yeah, I mean, are you buying this on Tier 4?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's totally fair.
Space. Yeah.
Yes. What
Based
is Oregon
on
this
the
week?
Baylor win.
What is Oregon this week? 15? Yeah. And BYU's 19? It's not that much of a shocker. Yeah. Okay, I need you to help me with this numbers matrix because
I'm not
this
sure
graph.
I can.
Well,
I didn't take a math class at BYU.
Oh, man, no science or math?
No, I did. You and I did communications, the easiest degree at BYU.
Okay, maybe you can't help me with this, but I'm going to show it to you anyway. This graph was posted by CFB Numbers on Twitter showing football coaches' average point differential based on talent advantage. What do you make of this numbers matrix that has Kalani Sitake, we think, in a good position?
Yeah, he's in a good position. Kyle Whittingham has done a great job with that as well. Luke Fickell, Dabo Sweeney, Jamie Chadwell, Coastal Carolina, Appalachian State, Yes. Listen, the easy part of our degree was the academic part wasn't challenging, but we had to learn other things. That was the challenging part. But yeah, Kalani Sitake is in a good spot in this because BYU always overachieves.
Maximizes talent.
The recruiting rankings and perceived disadvantages or advantages, BYU always overachieves. The Cougars do a great job because they develop players. They have really quality coaches. And is BYU paying everybody what they deserve at the same level of P5? No, not necessarily. They're doing their best to get to that point.
Getting better, we think.
Better. Staff is increasing, but BYU overachieves given what the talent rankings are. But who is to say, discipline and hard work and heart and whatnot, that's hard to quantify. BYU has a lot of that.
Yeah. I mean, this is what BYU's built their brand on. Like, look, you might not be the most notable high school athlete, but you come to BYU, we will put you into a winning program. We will maximize your talent. We will develop you. And Kalani Sitake absolutely deserves credit for that.
Zach Wilson, 3-star. Tyler Algier, no star? 2-star?
1 star maybe?
Maybe.
He was a walk-on at BYU.
Yes. BYU's done a great job. Both those guys were drafted. Right? Let's go. Volleyball begins West Coast Conference play tonight against LMU. Will the Cougars win the West Coast Conference again?
Man, this is a loaded question because the West Coast Conference is much tougher with San Diego and Pepperdine both ranked in the top 20. Pepperdine's 1 spot below BYU right now at number 17. San Diego number 6.
4.
Sorry, number 4. Number 4.
Even better.
Even better.
Crazy, right?
I think this is a lot to ask BYU. They face tough competition, but if they're going to win the West Coast Conference Championship, they got to win at San Diego. And they have to win at least one of the 2 at Pepperdine or at San Diego. BYU is capable of doing that, but I'm not expecting them to do that.
To me, it doesn't matter if BYU wins the league. Here's why. BYU's got to get to the Sweet 16 again. That's what BYU does. If you get to the Sweet 16, you're good. But the challenge will be, can BYU be good enough to host the first, second rounds? Because that's the key. If you can host those,
top 16 seed.
BYU's tough to beat at home. They're not going to have to play a Pitt-type team at home in the first 2 rounds.
Well, their RPI and schedule are much tougher and better this year.
Yes.
In those regards. So that will help them.
Yes.
As they shape for the postseason.
Tested, but did not get one of those 3 top 10 wins, unfortunately.
How about this? FIFA 23, the great soccer franchise video game, will feature Ted Lasso and AFC Richmond, the Greyhounds. Jarom, will that be your team of choice in FIFA 23?
Yes, Danny Rojas, football is life.
Football is life!
Yes, and Roy F. Kent will be my defender, and I will stop a ton of... Yes, absolutely. I'm all in on that. Be like a goldfish.
Yeah, Roy Kent is available. The ageless wonder. You got to watch out for the cursing with Roy Kent, though.
Roy Kent. That's not coming with the game. Former Ute Britton Covey, my favorite Ute of all time, perhaps, was denied access to the players' parking lot because he plays for the Eagles at the Vikings game on Monday night. He had to walk half a mile through tailgaters, find a spot to park to get to the stadium.
Fly, Eagles, fly!
He had to fly to get into the game. Despite being a Ute, is this the most BYU story ever?
Yeah, totally a BYU story. And again, there are 2 players that every BYU, like former Utah players that every BYU fan loves, Eric Weddle and Britton Covey.
Yes.
And this just makes him more likable. Like the Eagles fans, after they heard about this, like they already loved him, they love him even more. He is an endeared player in the Eagles fan base. I love this. I think Britton Covey is one of the most genuine people ever.
Great.
I love this.
He's great. Okay, coming up tonight, watch 16th ranked BYU women's volleyball take on LMU. The beginning of West Coast Conference play. Let's go. Cougars fresh off wins versus Utah and UVU. Watch it on BYU TV and the app tonight.
Isaac Rex, if you haven't heard, had an incredible comeback from just a devastating injury against USC. He is the subject of this week's Deep Blue. Some dark moments on the recovery path back. We'll look inside that on BYU Sports Nation.
This portion of BYU Sports Nation is presented by Maersk, your e-commerce logistics shipping partner.
If you're looking to build your brand awareness and increase market share as BYU moves into the Big 12, this is the place, BYU Athletics. We can provide the tools you need to make sure your company is seen and heard. BYU Athletics is where you can align your products and services with loyal fans that cheer for our Cougars. And they can also help your business win. Learn more about what a partnership with BYU Athletics and your company will look like. After all, this is the place. Email sponsorship at byu.edu today.
Utah is a special place. Our communities, the people, the history. There is no place quite like Utah. At Siegfried and Jensen, we're honored to say that we are from Utah. We live here, work here, and when someone is injured, we're proud to say we've helped a neighbor when they've needed it most. We know Utah. At Siegfried and Jensen, we're here for you. Call us today.
telling me what I could do and couldn't do. I've always listened to them, believed in what they said. I don't want to do that anymore.
In this lifetime, you don't have to prove nothing to nobody except yourself.
What are you doing? You treat me like your brother.
You were born to wear that jacket.
You ready, champ? I've been ready for this my whole life.
BYU Sports Nation is presented by the BYU Store, official outfitter of BYU fans everywhere.
Welcome back to BYU Sports Nation live from Studio B. Last season against USC, Isaac Rex broke his ankle, devastating injury, trying to make a touchdown catch. I was about 20 yards away from that play, and I'll never forget my heart dropping and feeling BYU Sports Nation just collectively groan and feel just so much sadness for Isaac Rex. You know, it could have cost him a lot of stuff. Delayed his wedding and almost this season. But you know what? It didn't. Isaac Rex overcame that situation with his core family at his side. He is the subject of our Deep Blue right now on BYU Sports Nation.
A-Rod called a play that we had gone over every week of the season.
BYU 14, USC 10, just past the halfway mark of the second quarter.
I get a good release off the line. I get past my defender, and I think Jarom gets held up a little. There might have been a defender in his face.
When A-Rod called it, I was so excited because I knew that Isaac was going to be open.
I don't know where I am, whether I'm inbounds or out of bounds, but I knew I could probably get my feet in.
All I see is Isaac go like this. And I thought, oh, he's mad that he dropped the ball.
Instantly, I knew I sprained it or something. I was like, oh, this is not good, because it was a pretty loud crunch.
I started to make my way down just because I wanted to make sure that he was okay. And when I say okay, not injured, just okay to sort of get off the field and, you know, maybe have to watch a few plays, maybe get back in.
Then I heard Fessy on the headset just started screaming, hey, his foot's turned the wrong way, his ankle's all out of whack, and then I knew that.
And then I start to jog, and then I start to move, and that's when I'm more worried about Isaac, certainly, and what his mindset is going to be.
When they were trying to set the bone and everything, I couldn't even look at that, but he was trying to be as positive as he can.
I see my dad come down, and it was really good to have my dad there right next to me. He was just comforting me, saying, it's okay, it's gonna be okay, you're okay, bro.
He knew where I was sitting, so he looked at me to like wave, and I'm like smiling, waving at him, like, you got it, you're gonna be okay. I had no idea. I literally thought that like he maybe rolled his ankle or like he'd be back out, you know? I had no idea the severity of it.
When he was carted off the field, they take him to the tunnel at the Coliseum. Tom Homo and Brian Santiago had a vial of consecrated oil, and they put their hands on his head and gave him a priesthood blessing of healing. Where else does that happen? They're able to give my son a blessing, and I don't know if there's any priesthood blessings in the Coliseum before, but there was one. And just starting with a blessing of healing, like that was so empowering to Isaac, and it gave him so much strength. And then when we went to the emergency room, I went in with him. There was such a level of calm around him after that.
Isaac scored his first touchdown. Everybody was reposting it on Instagram, and he did a dance to celebrate. So I thought it was kind of funny. So I was the first one to message him. I DM'd him on Instagram and like was laughing at his dance moves.
Ever since I met Lexi, I knew I loved her. Even when I looked at her Instagram, I was like way into her, and then early on, she wasn't that into me.
I don't know, like wasn't really feeling it, you know? But like same thing, I was like, he's fun and he's cute, but... So I was going on dates with other guys throughout this whole time, and Isaac was the only one that I like kind of kept around and like still would talk to every now and then in text. We went out on our last date in December, like the middle of December, right before the bowl game. And it was like a flip switch. Like the moment I got in the car and started talking to him, I instantly was like, what the heck? Like, how did I never see this? You know, like this side of Isaac. Basically that night I fell for him. We had like our first kiss, and the rest is pretty much history.
We weren't married at the time that I broke my ankle. Her taking care of me and her helping me through probably some of the darkest times I've gone through. Only brought us closer together, if that makes sense.
So you can't see this couch, but there's sort of 6 feet or 7 feet this way and 7 feet that way. And Isaac sat on here and recovered, and Lexi sat right here and recovered with him. And she helped him every step of the way. So between his mom and Lexi, they were great nurses for him and kept his spirits high.
Lexi and Isaac were supposed to get married 6 days after that game. And so there was Lexi, too, who had her wedding planned. Hundreds of people coming, everything's ready to go. Everything had to be put on halt.
Working towards something like that we were both just so excited for, and then having it taken away from us is what it felt like in the moment. Was pretty crappy, but it's okay. We eventually got there.
I couldn't do anything for her, and she did everything for me. Like some of the most Christ-like attributes I've ever seen in someone. She was absolutely amazing.
She was also such a great example to me and to all of us in our family of just somebody who's just so strong and so focused on things that matter. Football is great. Football teaches you so many things. But when football ends, what do you have?
You know, Isaac, I feel, has, as goofy as he is, he's got a great outlook on life. One thing shouldn't define you, and that how you come out of that is more important. And I think that that's his way of saying, I have my struggles with it, but I'm gonna outgrow this, and there's gonna be a greater story on the other side of it.
He just went to work and was ahead of schedule every step of the way. Every milestone that he was supposed to hit, he was always ahead.
Isaac knew he wanted to be ready for South Florida. Like, that was his goal. And he kept that and was purposeful in every movement of his ankle in order to get back to that date.
Like, why not have those goals and why not chase them every single day and do what it takes to do it? Even though he's like literally recovered pretty much all the way, he's still taking it like one day at a time, you know, like those 1%, every little thing that you do in your life at home and when you're on the field in the locker room, like those are the small things that are gonna allow you to achieve that goal.
I never doubted that he would make it back. I just wasn't sure when it would happen, and he's gonna play for us and play a lot. So I'm really impressed with that.
He's earned the right to have a great season, in my opinion.
I know that through the example of others and through the help of our Heavenly Father that we could get through anything. You're never lost. You're never in too big of a situation that it can't be fixed. And there's someone to help you, and they'll get you through your darkest times. Times that you may think you'll never be able to get out of. For me, that's been multiple people that have helped me, and I can't thank them enough for helping me throughout the situation and believing me for me to come back and play the sport that I love.
What a fantastic story and incredible recovery from Isaac Rex. I mean, personally, I was like, he's going to play against South Florida? Really?
This was late
after that?
This was late November. And how about the perhaps the one and only priesthood blessing in the Coliseum ever, right there? Pretty special. And obviously, he plays a massive role in the team, and with no Dallin Holker, even more.
Yeah, I was just going to say, like
the big role for
the tight ends room is one big person smaller, and now Isaac Rick's role probably grows that much more.
I think so. Okay, join us Monday night, 9 Eastern time on BYU TV. It's the men's basketball season preview live from day one of practice in the Marriott Center. All the coaches will be mic'd up, conversations with everybody, get to know the new guys. Cannot wait for this Monday night on BYU TV.
Plus, Isaac Rex, we talked about his recovery. There are some other big changes happening in his life. We'll talk about that next on BYU Sports Nation.
This portion of BYU Sports Nation is presented by Mountain America, the official credit union of BYU Athletics.
luxurious blanket. Getting cozy with family and friends. A gift for everyone. Minky Couture, official luxury blanket of BYU Athletics.
Home is just about to get a whole lot happier.
So you've been living with no furniture for about 2 months. Well, we're about to change that for you.
Watch as helpful folks lend a hand to those in need. See them refurbish and replenish homes all over the world.
Caitlin left her house when she was 13, and now she's finally home.
With all kinds of shows to explore on the BYU TV app, you're sure to find loads your family can watch together. Stream them all for free.
There are things happening in Seaburg.
They care more about people spending money than they do about people getting sick.
If they're causing toxic pollution, it is everyone's fight. We can't just let them get away with it.
If anyone can figure this out, it's my brother.
Friends don't abandon each other. Fine. Be heroes.
I know what it's like to love someone so much you'd do anything for them.
Whatever happens, I'm glad we're facing it together.
Me too.
Welcome to my rodeo. Welcome to my rodeo. Welcome to my rodeo.
Yo, download the BYU TV and BYU Radio apps. You can watch former games with Wyoming. Plus, of course, get ready for the Cowboys on Saturday night.
Our question of the day, what does BYU football have to do against Wyoming to help you as fans move on from the game against Oregon? Our elite voice of the day, presented by PAX Healthcare Elevated, comes from @CL_living. BYU needs to remember that Wyoming is part of Oregon, or of the Oregon Trail.
Uh-oh.
The part where you need to circle your wagons again and then move on ahead to a better place.
Hey, there you go. BYU's backtracking a little bit, but yeah, that's funny. It was funny living in Portland as a kid, playing Oregon Trail. Yeah. Like, I'm already here. I'm not trying to go there. I already
You have typhoid. You have died.
It is your birthday.
All right. Today's Rise and Shout Out presented by Mountain America.
Need more flour.
The official credit union of BYU Athletics. Isaac Rex has had some memorable red zone celebrations, right? Touchdown celebrations.
Yep.
The Cabbage Patch, of course, then rocking the baby after he scored against Oregon. But there's a little bit more to this.
He and Lexi are expecting,
yes,
which is very exciting.
Yes.
Now you know who Lexi is after the Deep Blue. She played volleyball at UVU.
It was not public at the moment. He celebrated by rocking the football.
And then he rocked the baby. That's
very
awesome,
cool.
dude.
Congratulations to the Rexes. All right, thanks to today's guest, Nate Mickel.
Conversation continues on the internets. Sorry, Dennis Pitta, no time.
For Jarom Jordan, I am Spencer Linton. Shout out to Randy Rawlinson. Volleyball tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern. WCC play opens up. Go Cougs.